Good morning, everyone. And with that, welcome to the Needle Moving Dialogue session. Today is the 1st of May. Congratulations, everyone. We got there. Big celebrations in Greece, I'm told, where my business partners, M&M, are currently at. So they're just celebrating the 1st of May there in Greece. Manos just celebrated his 60th birthday, Tom. So well done to him, and just enjoying a little bit of time over there, and rightfully they deserve that. So thank you everyone else for joining us today, wherever you are from in Australia and around. We've got a great session today. Of course, we've got Australia's #1 real estate coach, the founder of the Real Estate Gym, and our dear friend, Mr. Tom Panos. Thank you, Tom, for your time today.
Thank you, Arthur.
Appreciate that. Jarrod Carman, Master of Script and Dialogue. And has Joel Hood joined us yet? Hoodie, if you're on, say hello.
I'll give him a call.
I think so. Joel and Jarrod, of course, grace the Black Salt stage in keynotes. There he is. Just speaking of you, Joel. Good morning, mate.
Sorry, mate. I was in the wrong Zoom link. I'll stick to real estate. Sorry about
that. That's okay. Good on you, buddy. This is the one we need. So I was just saying that yourself and Jarrod there took up some keynote time at previous Black Salts. Of course, we had Tom grace the stage as well as an interviewer, and wasn't that a great session last time? Both sessions that you took, Tom, were just so overpowering. Let me tell you, the feedback we got them, they want you again this year, and I'm told you're coming down for this year. Is that correct, Tom?
Yeah, I'm pumped and excited about it, Arthur. I think the date's already been scheduled for early December off the top of my head.
Perfect.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I get a lot of, listen, most of my content, Arthur, I actually do get by asking questions and not actually just speaking a lot. It's one of the things, and Jarrod would know this because I know Jarrod does a lot of training as well. One of the things that you've got to be doing is to make sure, and it's often people turn around and say, oh, I've heard that trainer, and I'm very mindful of the fact that you have a diminishing value as a trainer. So I've always thought to myself, a far better model in education is for a trainer to be able to pull out really good content out of people who often are not speakers on the platform. And I think that's what Black Salt has done really good. They don't go for, the supposed gurus that are on the stage all the time. Between podcasts and YouTube clips and seeing them around, you do sort of get what they're all about. And I think that's what's so good about Black Salt. It's getting people that you never knew, and things that come out of their mouths are often new, exciting ideas.
100%, Tom. Agents in the field, training agents in the field. That's our mantra, and we'll keep going with that. Anyway, without further ado, Tom, I'll hand it over to you now. I'd love you to host this session today, Needle Moving Dialogue. I can't wait. Guys, get some paper and some pens, or however you take your notes, because this is going to be awesome. Before we get started, of course, the industry partners, they've already escaped me. Industry partners there, of course, we want to thank them, because without them we can't do this. So Tom, over to you now, if you don't mind.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start off with, and both Jarrod and Joel and Arthur, yourself, if you like, or any of the ladies that are on there, if you feel at any stage that you want to unmute and contribute, please do. I don't need to be I'm not one of these people that feels like I've got to be saying everything. I'm very open to people actually contributing along the way. I'm going to start off and suggest that often when I speak about scripts and dialogues, there are a cohort of agents that turn around and actually say, yeah, Tom, I get that, but, I like to go with the flow. I like to be authentic. I'm not one of these false Freddies. I don't want to be a robot with commission breath. And I think that line of thinking can actually stop you from growing as a salesperson, because you've actually got the wrong narrative and the wrong meaning of what scripts and dialogues are. So maybe to start off with, I think I should actually give what scripts and dialogues are as a definition. To me, they are telling the truth efficiently. to me, they are about using 50 words, not 1,000 words. And the great news is, to all our audience that's on here, the good news is that generally speaking, vendors, buyers, and prospects say the same thing. You don't get this thing that you've never heard of in 35 years. Generally speaking, you know, they'll say, vendors say this at a listing presentation. The other agent said that they would do it for 0.5% cheaper. The other agent said that they're going to pay for the marketing. When you're prospecting, generally you'll hear, oh, I'm busy, I can't talk, or they'll carry me out in a box, right? When I show up as an auctioneer, they say the same thing 14 times in the day. We're not giving it away. I've got a plan B. We'll rent it out if we don't sell it. I know what my home is worth. To the point where I sometimes think, do these buyers, are they part of some Facebook group that gets together every month that actually says, here's what you've got to say to your agent this week, right? It's just like, it's like they go to their own training schools. So I say to real estate agents, it stands to reason. Learn what to say, because there's only about a dozen things that seem to come up 90% of the time. And if you can learn to answer them in a way that you sound like you're having a conversation with a friend at a cafe, then it's not a script or dialogue. It's actually art and science. That's what we actually get paid for. We get paid for influential language. Now, there's two ways we can go about this. You can actually not know scripts and dialogues and just go crazy with your output in work, and you'll still be successful. Or what you can do is work really hard, still have a life, but know what to say that helps you improve your conversion of sales, conversions of listings, conversions of appointments. So I just want to give people pretext. And I want to also let you know, like Jarrod and Joel, even though I'm not listing and selling, I'm letting you know I'm probably one of the few trainers, and listen, people know who they are. There's a couple that have actually worked in real estate, own businesses, but the majority of our real estate industry are what I call professional trainers who have been non-practicing. And I have to say to you, every piece of dialogue that I am sharing with you has been tested in the market, not only by agents in the real estate gym, but I've tested it. Example, on a Saturday, I will say this to every auction vendor. Can I ask you, what were you originally hoping to get? They give me a number. Then I say, can I ask you, what, based on the feedback, the reports, the conversations, the offers in the last 5 weeks, what's your new number that you're prepared to take? So normally, Arthur, they'll say, oh, we were hoping to get 1.5, but based on the feedback, we realise it's not the best, you know. I know we've been reading the press, blah, 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 and we've had offers and we still think it's worth that, but we're prepared to take 1.4. So they've said 1.5 was their hope to get originally. Now they're prepared to take 1.4. And then I'll casually just ask this question. Oh, by the way, we're aiming for the stars, but I want to ask you, what won't you take today? Won't take, like won't take. And then they'll give me another number, which will be, oh, we're not giving it away under 1.3. No, we're just going to keep it. We'll just rent it out. So basically, one piece of dialogue asked in a nice way has worked out that, hey, you know, even though they'll say we're not going to take under 1.3, well, let me tell you, that's another story. I've actually learned that even if they say that they won't take 1.3, often at 1.270, There's a deal there to be made, right? So all I've got to say is, as we go through the document, and I'm going to be sharing my screen and everyone's going to get a copy of the scripts and dialogues as well, that I need you to understand you've got to become so good at it that you sound like they're not scripts or dialogues. If they sound like scripts or dialogues, they're not at the unconscious competent level. Now, I've noticed Jarrod's been nodding his head a little bit there. If you don't mind unmuting Jarrod,
I'm actually enjoying being a student right now. I'm loving this, listening to. It's scripts and dialogues. I know people repel against just even the words, but it is really important that you internalize it, as Tom's saying. You internalize it so you do have the unconscious competence to do it, but it's having emotional intelligence to deliver it the right way at the right time.
100%.
I think that's what people have to work on, is their emotional intelligence not being a robot of, I've been told to say this script at this time. It's reading the play, listening to your client, finding out their motivations and finding out the reasons why they're selling and what they're looking for, to then be able to deliver the right script or dialogue at that time.
Beautiful. So basically what Jarrod said, in an instantaneous moment, what will happen is they will say something, your brain will be like Chat GPT. You know what it is? It's Chat GPT, except it's only scripts and dialogues are in the toolkit, right? So what happens is they say that, and then in this instant, the algorithm goes, this is their problem, bang. This is the headache that they have. This is the Panadol for that headache. And that happens in a split of a second, right? So let's start off with, you know what? I reckon people want more appraisals more than anything else at the moment. More appraisals. Let's talk about an open home scenario. The majority of real estate agents at an open home scenario are going to be sitting there, and particularly these, you know, if there's any young guys or girls that are sitting there that are having, you know, 2 o'clock benders on a Friday night, rocking up dehydrated, and with a bit of a headache, Barocca's in the top pocket, there at the open homes on a Saturday, I got to tell you, it's just a victory getting there for those people under those circumstances and having the right key. We don't want that. We don't want the victory that you got to the right house with the keys. And you know what? I got to tell you, go to bed early, everyone, on a Friday night, because I got to tell you, there's nothing worse than finishing an open at 10:45 and knowing you've got another 6 and you've got another 100 people to look at and their heads pounding, the neurophens are going down, and you're just thinking, I will never do that again. Friday night is not the night for a bendo. Friday night is AFL NRL night. Bed, bang, wake up the next day. At an open home, no longer will you be sitting there as people come through and say, what's your name? What's your number? Have a look through. That's the kitchen. They know that's the kitchen. We've got to actually go a little bit higher than that, right? So here is the dialogue that I'd be saying at an open home. Hi, my name is Tom Panos. Can I ask what brings you here today? Like, why are you here today? Did you just land out of a helicopter? Here, what's your purpose? Are you a buyer? Are you a buyer-seller? Are you an investor? Are you a neighbor that lives 3 doors down? Are you a renter? Are you a landlord? I don't know. What brings you here today? Second question. Did you travel far to get here today? Good question. Good dialogue. Because we know that if they say, oh, no, I only came around the corner, from around the corner, you can then say, great. And can I ask you, are you researching buying or selling today? So far I've given you what brings you here today. Did you travel far to get here today? Are you buying or browsing? Are you researching buying or selling? Is this your first or second purchase in this area? I'll give you one that if the team uses this Saturday, I bet you're going to get an appraisal if you ask everyone this question. How's the sale of your place coming along? Randomly, right? Like, you'll be shocked You'll be shocked at the answers. This is what they say to you. Oh, no, we haven't got a property. Some people say, oh, we've sold. Some people say, oh, we don't have a property. But let me tell you what 20% of people say. It's not on the market yet. It's not on the market yet, because as our sponsors, which I think realestate.com is one of them for this session, Arthur, I saw beforehand, have done great market research that are telling us that a vendor that is not an absentee vendor, but a vendor that currently lives in the suburbs, so they're not like, you know, in Joel's instance where they own the property on the Sunshine Coast, but they live in Melbourne. They are people that live on the Sunshine Coast in their house. What the research shows is that they will walk into an open for inspection approximately 12 weeks before they put their home on the market, roughly 12 weeks. So it stands to reason, team, black salt agents, I'm telling you, when you finish this session, go to your old open home books and start ringing people up from 3 months ago. And you know what you can actually say to them? Here's another piece of dialogue. Hi, it's Tom Panos here from the real estate. You came through one of our opens about 3 months ago. And if I'm correct and not mistaken, you told me that you were going to be putting your home on the market soon after Easter. I just want to see how that's coming along. Like, what can you lose out of even saying, I may be mistaken, right? You have nothing. All I'm going to say to your team, learn to be assumptive in your dialogue. Assumptiveness works so well. I got to tell you, I was introduced to assumptiveness when I was a 19-year-old kid at uni, and my friend said to me, we will never, ever have to pay to go into a nightclub ever again. Just act like you've already been and that you're just walking back in. Worked about 6 or 7 out of 10 times. Occasionally you had a smart security guard that would stop you, but most, they just want to get their hourly rate and fucking move on with life, right? They don't care. So I'm going to open up my slide deck and I'm going to open up here and I'm going to say, here are some other scripts and dialogues. I love this one. There are 2 types of people. The reason I like this piece of dialogue is we make it easy in a consumer's mind, because often they're going around in circles, and what you want to do is actually say, hey, it's not that hard. It's A or B. So I like there are 2 types of people, and I use it in lots of different contexts. Here is one. To a buyer when you're negotiating an offer. You know, when you get an offer, and generally speaking, buyers come in lower than what you'd like, and they start off lower because they have learned that, hey, you know, let's do what we do in Bali. Let's do what we do in Bali. We're in Bali, you want to buy a watch, you start low because they start high. So what we say to the buyer that gives us an offer is, look, thank you for that offer. I want to let you know, Arthur, pretending Arthur's the buyer. Arthur, I want to let you know there are 2 types of buyers I meet. There are those that give us an offer on the low side, and then we take it to the owner, and the owner gets upset. They get personally offended. And then what actually happens is they start having a negative feeling towards the person that put the offer, which is you. And then it affects the whole negotiation because they've got this, I don't like you as a buyer because you offended me. And then what we normally find is putting a deal together becomes really, really hard. Then there's the second type of buyer, and they're the ones that have the most success. They're the ones that actually say, look, I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm actually even going to borrow money off family members to throw my best foot forward. And if I know that you can do that and give me your best offer, I can then look them in the eye and say to the vendor, I think you should take that offer. I want to let you know I can't do that with the current offer that you've given me. Now, I've told you there are 2 types of people. I bet you're a bit like me and you want to improve the chances of getting this property. With this in mind, what do you think your next offer should be? So that's how we do it. And by the way, everyone, let me tell you, increasing an offer has a higher chance at the start when you get an offer. That's when you want to get a higher increase there and then. And I've got to tell you, gentlemen, One of the worst things you can do in this situation is where you say to the buyer, oh, let me go into bat for you and see what they say. If you do that and you come back a day later and say no, they've already got aspirations that they already own it, right? So I've got to say it is really important to manage expectations at the start with their offer. There's another way that you can use, there are two types of people, and that is when you're negotiating your fee at a listing presentation. I want to show you the dialogue that you can use there. Let's pretend Jarrod's the vendor. Jarrod, I want to let you know, you've indicated to me that you're happy to move forward, but you just feel like a couple of other agents have come in at a lower fee. I want to let you know there are two types of vendors that I meet. There are those that are looking for a house price maximizer, and there are those that are looking for a commission minimizer. I want to let you know you can't have both. The cheapest agent and the best agent is generally not the same agent. And I've got to let you know, I've seen a lot of owners lose tens of thousands of dollars at the time of listing because they try to save 0.5%. Sorry, I've seen a lot of owners lose tens of thousands of dollars at the time of sale because they try to save a few $1,000s at the time of listing. Let me show you how to avoid that mistake. And even if they turn around and say, oh no, you're a bit expensive, you're too high, I think a really good piece of dialogue there is to say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, if you think I'm expensive, hire an amateur and see how expensive that can get. In fact, let me tell you, the most expensive thing I've ever seen in real estate is a hot buyer in front of a bad agent. That's really expensive. So team, let's move on. In fact, I actually used, there are two types of people last night, believe it or not, but I didn't use it in business, right? I used it in my family scenario with Maddie, my oldest daughter, because Maddie was being a smart ass, and I said to her, Maddie, I want to let you know, there are two types of people on this planet. Those that don't want to work with you and get nothing, and those that work with you on something and get something. I bet you're a bit like me and you want something. And you know what she said? You can shove your real estate gym scripts up your ass, daddy. That's what she said. Just saying it as it is, man. What I'm saying is maybe they don't work at home as much as they work out at open homes. Okay, let's move on. The next script here, ladies and gentlemen, next script here, the good news is, I love this script because in real estate, we often have to deliver bad news in a positive way. Like it was great. In 2021, you'd be doing an auction. There was no stock on the market. Things were selling for $400,000 over reserve. You'd go in, you'd sell a property. The owner, Barry would come up. Hey, what do we get? 2.1. Shazza, get him a glass of champagne. Get the man a glass of champagne. What do we get again? I said 2.1. 2.1. Give me a hug, Tommy. Give me a hug. That was 2021 and a bit of 2022. Let me tell you what happens on Saturdays in Sydney and Melbourne now. At 1.8, going. Ladies and gentlemen, just give us one moment. You walk inside the house. Shazza and Barry are sitting on a sofa. There's no champagne to be seen. They got their heads slumped, and you fucking walk in there and you know that they're pissed off and you know that they're depressed. But what are you going to do? What are you going to say? Hey guys, how fucked was that? How shit was that? You can't do that, can you? Right? So you got to come in, and this is what I say. Hey guys, did you hear what happened? They'll look up. Listen, I want to let you know, we had 5 people bidding. 5 people can't get the price wrong. The good news is today we know we've got market value. I know that it's not aligned to vendor value, but 5 people can't get the price wrong. The good news is we do know now what it's worth. And I've got to tell you, leadership is needed in this market. Leadership is needed in this market. And in any market anywhere around Australia, I've got to tell you where it's needed the most. It's needed in Melbourne. Because in Melbourne, either the agent is running the campaign or the vendor is running the campaign. Someone's going to be the leader. Someone's got to be a leader. So let me tell you how I use the good news. At an auction, I use it the way I just said. Some agents have got guarantees of service. I've got one in my real estate gym. I like using the good news with this. You know, when you're sitting at a listing presentation and you can just feel, yeah, I think they're aligned. I think I've got this, but it's not 100%. This is a good time to move the needle towards you. This is how you say it. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we've covered the fee, we've covered the marketing, we've covered the timing, we've covered why me, why my office. I want to let you know, the good news is we're the only office in the area that will give you a guarantee of service. That's right, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know that if we don't fulfill what we say in this guarantee, you can give us notice in writing, 7 days notice, and if we haven't rectified it, rip up the agreement. The good news is, with us, you're not stuck. The bad news is, if you get an agent with no guarantee of service and you're unhappy, you can't sack him like you sack a plumber. Nah, you're stuck with them for 3 months. I bet you're a bit like me and you like to have some insurance or guarantee. With this in mind, when can we start? That's how I would use it there. And the third way I would use the good news is, you know, when you get an offer in the first week, often, and that doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally you get your best offer in week 1 and you go back to the owner and you're fuck, I can't believe it. Fucking, they're going to be so excited. You go over to Joel. Hey, Joel, you won't believe it. You know, the couple I brought through, they've given us an offer of 1.5. And then the owner goes, oh, wow, good start, eh? That's encouraging. You're fucking thinking, fucking encouraging. And you feel like actually grabbing a water bottle or something and say, what are you talking about? We're never going to get that price again. Are you stupid? Do you understand? You don't do that. I know you want to. I know that's what we feel like sometimes, but we don't do that. What we do is we're calm and collected, and you say this, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know that 1 in 10 properties gets their best offer in week 1. I'll tell you why. Because it's not how long you have been on the market, it's how long the buyer has been in the market. And they've just been sitting there, and this property comes along, it ticks all the boxes, and they come in. The good news is you're the 1 in 10. I recommend you take it. I don't think we'll get this again. Let's move on. Destination value and purchase value, again, are 2 words I like to use. This is particularly used in vendors when you're trying to put a deal together. And often what you find is you get vendors that say things like this. Oh, Tom, we can't sell at that because when we leave Footscray, we're moving to Toorak. And I want to let you know that Toorak is more expensive than Footscray, right? So this is where you use this dialogue. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know what we sell your house for today in Footscray is called market value. When you move to Toorak and you buy, that is called destination value. I need you to know that there is no link between destination value and market value. Let's assume you weren't moving to Toorak, but you were moving to Taylor's Lakes. Does that mean market value of Footscray is different because you've chosen to go to Taylor's Lake. So it's helping a client understand that their home has got nothing to do with where they're going next. Because I've said this flippantly, sometimes it's funny, sometimes they look at you like they want to punch your face in. And I've said to owners this, you know, like where you move to is called destination value. So make sure you don't buy from someone that leaves Toorak and decides to move to New York because it's really expensive over there, right? Some people don't think that's funny, right? But it's actually got the same logic if you think about it. The logic's the same, right? You know, if you're going to go there, make sure that they're not going to New York. Make sure they're going to fucking Mount Druitt or somewhere, right? Because it's cheaper out there, right? Okay. So the other example that you can use there is purchase value. So Joel would know because he worked in Melbourne and he's gone to the Sunshine Coast. And, you know, we worked during, you know, a lot of people did pay top dollar in real estate during when. So Jarrod, when do you reckon top dollar period was in Melbourne?
For us, and Joel would probably collaborate, the September 2022 was the absolute peak and drop off.
Okay. So this is what I hear vendors say. Tom, I understand what you're saying. I know that, you know, it does need work, but you got to understand, we can't sell at that because we bought at this price. That's when I sort of say, hey, I want to let you know what you've got today is called market value. When you bought your home in 2021, 22, that was called purchase value. There's no link between purchase value and market value. Example, what if you bought your house in 1998? Would the value of that house be different today? It's still the same value, right? So team, do you understand what we do in real estate? We help vendors and buyers and prospects have stupid ideas become sensible by using good language. That's what we're doing. Let's keep going. Most people, I love this piece of dialogue. 2 words, most people. I can't believe how these 2 simple words have had such an impact in my whole sales life. Most people, just by saying most people, right? Example, you're at a listing presentation and you're sitting there and you're going through your marketing programs. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know, this is our basic program, which we call our bronze. This is our silver program, and this is our gold program. I want to let you know, most vendors that get top dollar pick this one. Now, I want to let you know, everyone, because I am about to do some traveling very, very soon, I went and bought yesterday a backpack with a handle and the wheels, 42 litre. So I'd actually come to Melbourne yesterday to go to realestate.com for some work. And I was coming back and there's a luggage shop at Sydney Airport. And I saw the luggage there and I was looking at it and I saw these bags. And one was 42 litre backpack. You can use it as 3-in-1. And then I was about to actually buy it. And then I thought to myself, being a typical Greek, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to pay an airport price. I'll just go home online onto Amazon and get it, you know, there. So I come online and Arthur, I got to tell you, you're sitting there and you're just fucking confused, right? Fucking. You know how they just come flying at your face? You want one bag and all of a sudden there's 75,000 of them at your face, right? And you're looking at prices and you're looking at reviews and you're trying to look at, oh, how many people have reviewed this? And out of the blue, as I'm scrolling, a beautiful image comes up with this red writing, most recommended on Amazon. Fucking bingo. That's what most people do. I'll do what most people do, right? That's how you use it. Because people want to do what most people do. They want to be like, if they've done it, we're safe. Most people. Example, we're in... And I remember we were in we're in Bali. We're all in Bali. Arthur was there. Joel, I don't think you were there. Jarrod was there. We went out to dinner on one of the nights. And I remember we were looking for a restaurant and we went to this restaurant, right? Because like it had a lot of people in there and everyone said, this is the one to go. That's what most people do. Fucking, we went in there, you got to hang around. They're not ready. It's going to take ages. Then all of a sudden we just started walking 5-10 minutes, went to another place. The meal was great at the other place, right? But what happens is we do what most people do. You go to, if I come into Fern Tree Gully, or if I go into a suburb I hardly ever go to, and I'm looking for a cup of coffee and there's 5 coffee shops, I will go where most people go, even though I don't even know what the coffee's like. I don't even know whether the guy washes his hands, but I will do what most people do, right? So it basically means we can start using that in real estate often. So how do you use it? Getting a buyer to sign a contract with an offer. Here's an example. Buyer says, will they take 1.1? You say, I'm not quite sure. Let me tell you, when a buyer wants to buy a property, most buyers that have success put it on a contract and they go to the owner with a contract and I say, here, they're not beating around the bush. That's what most successful buyers do. Also, when you're putting a price on a property, here's another example. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know, most vendors that get top dollar price their property right at the start. I'll tell you why. Because the first 30 days, that's when everyone is there. They see it, and then they get top dollar. Most people that get top dollar do that. Let me tell you what the unlucky ones do. You know what they do? They put it really high. The 30 days when the whole market's looking at it, they look at it and say, overpriced. That property then helps sell other properties, and then all those buyers have gone, and then you go reduce the price when the buyers have gone. That would be like having your daughter getting married and then saying, hey, let's not hand the food out. Everyone fucking leaves because they're starving, and then you come out and say, okay, let's bring out the food. They're gone. They've gone. They've gone to Macca's. They've gone to charcoal chicken, mate. They've gone, mate, right? So that's what we've got to do. We've got to get the price right. So what you say is most vendors that get top dollar go in with a buyer excite price, which is a good piece of dialogue, So team, at that point, I just want to stop for a moment. And what I'd like to do is just in the chat box, those that are watching, what do we got, about 30 people? No, 68 people there. Can I just get people, because I like reflecting on learning, can you please type away in the chat box? What are some of the learnings? What's one of your favorite pieces of dialogue you've heard so far on this webinar that we're doing for Black Salt? Please type away. I've got David Dwyer. Offers are like concrete. They get harder the longer you leave them. Beautiful. Aisha, how are you, Aisha? I haven't spoken to you for ages. Destination value. Exactly right. Next, keep coming. Arthur, 5 people can't get it wrong. 5 people cannot get it wrong. By the way, I got to tell you, I actually use that piece of dialogue, Arthur, normally at the start of the auction where I say, I got good news for you. We've got 4 people registered. 4 people aren't going to get the price wrong today. Shane, it's not how long you've been on the market, it's how long the buyer has been in the market. And Jay says most people. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You're paying attention. Let's keep moving on. Let's move on to the next one. What's your plan B if you don't sell? This is a good piece of dialogue. Good piece of dialogue. Normally, an owner turns around and says, oh, look, man, if it doesn't sell, we're just going to hang on to it. What a good agent does is ask the next step. And what are you going to do hanging on to it? What will your plan be? You know what they normally say? Oh, we'll sell when the market picks up. And then you know what you do? Don't argue with them. Say, you know what? I can't tell you when, but I can tell you the market will pick up, and I'm letting you know you'll get your price. So that's not a bad idea. So you agree with them. Then you say this. And let's assume that happens in 2 years and you get your price. What do you plan to do then? Oh, then I'll sell it. And then what will you do? Oh, then I'll go to Toorak. Oh, so let me get this right. We're going to wait for 2 years. You'll get your extra $50,000. And then you're going to feel a lot more comfortable to go to Toorak to buy. Out of curiosity, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, are you going to put a lay-by on Toorak today so you've got it at today's price? And what you're trying to help them understand is that, hey, you're going to get an extra 50 in 2 years' time, but you're going to pay an extra 100 in 2 years' time. So in fact, you're going to be 50 grand worse off. And then I'll say to them, that's not the bad bit. You know what the bad bit is? They'll say, what? That you're fucking stuck here for another 2 years and you'll be losing 50 grand. That sucks, right? Let's keep moving. Team, I want you to learn the structure and make these your own sort of, say it in your way, right? So obviously you don't swear when you're talking. However, man, if I've got a vendor out at Campbelltown on Mount Druitt who's been fucking talking to me like this, I will swear because I'm mirroring the way that they are. But whilst we're talking about mirroring, let me just touch on that neuro-linguistic program. I know I'm sidetracking. I had an agent say to me a week ago, he goes, Tom, do you believe in NLP? I said, like, what's that? He goes, I said, that's right. And I go, what's that? He goes, you just mirror people all the time. He goes, it's incredible. And I said, give me an example. He goes, so if they're sitting at the dining table like this, you go like this. I said, man, that's fucking sort of weird for me, man. Because like, if like, don't you think it would be weird? They do that, you do that. Then they do that, you do this. They start thinking to themselves, this guy's a fucking freak. This guy's a creep, right? Let's keep going. What's your plan B if they do not sell? This one here is a nice and easy one. It's not how long you've been on the market, it's how long the buyer has been in the market, but I've got it written there for you because you've got to say the right words on this one. You can't say it. I've seen agents actually mix the words and it doesn't sound as impactful. This one, you do need to get right. How open-minded would you be? Love this, love this. And I'll tell you why I love it, because no person on the planet wants to be known. Imagine that you're on Tinder, right? And you got your profile. Fucking, I shouldn't use Tinder. If you think of something else. No, just use Tinder. You're on Tinder. Loves horse racing, loves community, working out in the gym, narrow-minded. Fucking. No one wants to be narrow-minded. I'm a narrow-minded person. Everyone wants to be open-minded. So basically what we're saying is use it to your advantage. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, how open would you be for me to talk to you about our list now, launch later strategy? Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, how open-minded you'd be for me to give you a price date on your property? I use it for everything because I know people want to be associated as being someone that's liberal, open-minded. You know, I was thinking to myself, guys, just changing the subject for a moment because we've got an election in 2 or 3 days. And I'm really curious. Can I say, how do I stop sharing this? It doesn't really matter. I just want to just ask you this question, and I'll let maybe, Arthur, Joel, Jarrod, that 5 weeks ago, 5.5 weeks ago, it was just before the start of April. Every morning I would go to my phone and I look at sports odds, and I would look at Labor versus Coalition. I'm not joking. Coalition was $1.50. Labor was $2.50. Today, and I've been doing it every day, let me tell you when they turned, around 2.5 weeks ago, they were equal. And then every day after that, Labor, 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 Labor. This morning, I looked at it. Coalition is $5. Labor is $1.17. What happened? And this, guys and girls, I know this has got nothing to do with scripts and dialogues, but if you think about it, in real estate, we're no different to politicians. We are campaigning for listings. We are out there trying to win the popularity contest. We're not in politics, we're in real estate, but the constituents are the same people out there in our community. What has actually happened? Why did it change so much in a 3-4 week period? Does any one of you want to unmute and just throw an opinion and a view? I find it fascinating, like in 3 weeks.
I'll go simple because Jarrod will go deep. But I think obviously correlating it to real estate, Tom, I find that maybe there hasn't really been a direct plan from Coalition over the last few weeks. It's been a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I think we can get caught up that in the lounge room. When we go and pitch for the business, sometimes we just create a relationship with the seller. We don't take them down the buyer path. You kind of get 2 hours in and they've gotten to like you, but they know nothing about what you're actually standing for, how your strategy is going to be to sell their property, where the value might be, the marketing, all those sorts of things. So I feel like Coalition's kind of, as a swing voter myself, who listens to pretty much everything, there's not been enough structure to understand what you're buying into.
Okay, big learning point there. So the bottom line is, be very clear so they can understand what you're all about. And there's an article that's in today's Fin Review, or one of the papers there, that actually basically said that the Coalition tried to become everything to everyone. So in the end, they become no one to anyone, right? Whereas I think the other side, Albo, has been a lot more confident and said, this is what we stand for, right? That's it. Jarrod, you want to add to that?
No, mate, you don't want to get me involved in politics because I will go too far and too deep. So I'm going to leave that. But Joel's pretty on the money. I think they did not. They tried to pander, and as you said, they tried to pander to everyone and everything. And they said, oh, yeah, we agree with their policies. They did not stick to their values. And I think that's the biggest lesson here for every agent too, is if you stick to your values, don't waffle and get drawn into the vendor's story about other agents too much. Stick to your values, stick to what you do best, and have a clear, concise plan.
Beautiful. Well said. So team, how open-minded is dialogue that you will be using all the time? Sometimes I'd say use it as how open-minded, sometimes use it as how open. How open are you? I just thought of a really good way you could actually do it after this phone call. Ring up some of the vendors that you've got that need a price alignment and just say, hey, how open would you be that we realign your price guide to a buyer excite figure? Because if I can get the buyers excited to come in, I know that I'll get them to fight over it, and competition wins sport in grand finals, and competition gets top results in real estate. Help me become a competition creator for you. How open would you be that we realign by 5%? By the way, when you're doing price alignments, talk percentages, not dollars. It's not as impactful. So instead of saying drop your house by 100 grand, it's far better to say to realign it by 7%. Let's keep going. Share my screen. Come here. Use it everywhere. If I can, will you? If I can, will you? This is critical. This one is critical. If I can, will you? So just picture this. We're at a listing presentation. The vendor turns around and says, Tom, like everything you've said, are you prepared to do it at 1.4%? Now let's assume you are. Let's assume you are. You don't say yes. Never say yes. Because if you say yes, they can come back and say this to you. Okay, leave it with us. I'll come back to you. And then what they do is they shop your fee around to the next agent. What you say is this. Look, 1.4 is already lower than our discounted fee that I offered you. However, can I ask you, if I was prepared to do it at 1.4%, will you give me the okay today? So if I can, will you? You can do that with a fee. You can do that with getting a buyer to put an offer on contract. Example, Joel's a buyer and Joel says, Tom, will they take 1.5? I'll say, Joel, I doubt it, because that would be like amazing value. But if I'm prepared to go to their house tonight and spend 2 hours there, will you put it on a contract for me today? So if you do that, I'll do this. That's what deal makers do, man. Deal makers are actually in a negotiation all the time. Let's keep going. And this is something that I use, and I've been using, unfortunately, very often since 2022. And that is, I might hurt you with the truth, but I'm not going to comfort you with a lie. It's very, very good to give as an opening sentence before you give bad news. I might hurt you with the truth, but I will not comfort you with a lie. It's good at delivering bad news. And it's often one that I use in HR when I'm dealing with team members. Most of the time things go good, but there are times when you've got team members and I'll just sit them down and I'll say, look, I'm going to tell you in the next few minutes something that you probably don't want to hear, but you need to hear. And my values always tell me that to tell the truth. So I might hurt you with the truth, but I'm not prepared to comfort you with a lie. This is where it stands. It's essentially sort of saying to people, hey, I can bullshit to you to make you feel good, but I'm not going to do that because you deserve the truth. That's what it is. So it's really, really good with vendor management. And it's really, really good at a set to sell meeting. When you're having a set to sell meeting and you say to the owner, look, it's really important to know that over the next 5 weeks, I'll be giving you some feedback. Some of that feedback will be good. Some of that feedback will be bad. Even when it's bad, I might hurt you with that truth, but I'm not prepared to comfort you with a lie. That's how you use it there. This one here is, if I can recall, you asked me to. Really, really, really good, because it's called the mistake dialogue, right? It's the mistake dialogue. So when you're ringing up old people from your callback from open homes, you can say, hey, Jarrod, Tom Panos here from the real estate. If I can recall, you asked me to give you a ring because you were probably going to be looking at putting your home on the market just after the new year. Oh, no, that wasn't us. Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, how's things going on in your life? It is a fantastic piece of dialogue, and it's also good with door knocking, right? Knock, 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 you know, hey, look, I might be mistaken, but I've been talking to some people in this street and they said that one of these homes looks like it might come on the market. I just didn't know what to do, so I thought I'd just door knock it. Is it you or is it someone else? Let's keep going, team, because I am mindful of time. What's your understanding? What's your understanding? Hey, I used this on Saturday. Listen to what happened. I get to the auction. The agent rings me on the way to the auction and says to me, Tom, get ready. They're crazy. They're crazy. I said, why? He goes, mate, they're not giving me a reserve. They're not giving it to me. They basically said, they're not giving a reserve. And I said, mate, let them know if they don't give you a reserve, I am not coming to the auction. Because we need a reserve. It's illegal not to have a reserve. I'm not quite sure in all the states, but in New South Wales, auction rules are you need a reserve. I said, I won't be coming. He rings me back up 1 minute later. They're going to give it to you 1 minute before the auction. They'll give it to you, right? Anyway, I get there. They're fucking cold as. They're cold. They're cold people. Hi, I'm Tom. I'm the auctioneer. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe his ex-girlfriend dumped him and for a real estate agent and he just hates real estate agents. I don't know the story, but the bottom line is he hated real estate people. We all meet those people. And he gives me the reserve. I open it up. I look at it. And I said, can I ask you, is there any flexibility and what price won't you take? He goes, No. I thought, okay. Then I said, what's your understanding of using the vendor bid as an opener or as a positioner? They go, what? I said, what's your understanding of using the vendor bid as an opener or as a positioning bid? They go, what do you mean by that? I said, look, I think we better sit down and have a conversation. Can I ask you, do you sell properties at auction regularly? They go, oh, no, not really. I go, have you ever sold a property at auction before? And I said, okay, we better sit down. What's your understanding allows you to open up and find out and diagnose what really is the issue here. What's your understanding puts the onus back on them to help them come clear and open up where they're at. And I think you can use it on anything. Let me run through 5 different ways you can use it. At a listing presentation, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what's your understanding of commissions in real estate? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what's your understanding of vendor paid marketing and where it goes and how much it is? When you're dealing with when you're prospecting, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what's your understanding of getting a market appraisal, not evaluation? And there. So there's so many things that you can be doing. What's your understanding? What you're doing is you're opening them up and you're saying, and I'll tell you what, everyone, have you noticed? Nearly everything, have you noticed? Everything I've done here are questions. You know why? Because when you ask questions, you learn. When you make statements, they judge you. Ask more questions. Team, we're coming to script number 12. In my last year of real estate, which was around 25 years ago, this had to be, because I'd become lazy. I'd become really lazy. My business partner used to say to me, fuck, mate, unless they're going to buy a home, you won't even show up. Like, you've got to be certain. And the truth is, like, when you're an active agent, the last thing you're going to do is become an Uber driver for buyers who are not qualified. So for me, there are 6 buyer questions. I'm going to quickly read them out. Question number 1, how long have you been looking? Question number 2, have you made any offers on anything? Question number 3, have you bid at auction? Question number 4, what's the best time you've seen so far? Question number 5, how come you never bought that one? And question number 6, my last one, I love this one. If I found you a property that is suitable, will you be looking at making an offer today? Man, that's cutting straight to the point. Like, if they answer no, mate, you're not selling them a house at the moment. They're still in discovery mode. So ask the hard-hitting questions. And script number 13, how open would you be to our, oh man, there's a typo here. Okay, there is a typo here. See that word here that says project? Replace that word with pocket. That should say pockets. How open-minded would you be to our pocket listing strategy where we list now and launch later? So if you actually notice, I've used 2 scripts here. I've used the how open would you be? And the reason why we have that piece of dialogue there, ladies and gentlemen, is that often we have owners that don't want to come on the market. And what we want to do is we want to try and fast track them. But often if we fast track them on the market and they're not ready to sell, they're going to turn around and not accept offers because they're not at that sweet zone yet. So what you want to do is have it as a pocket listing where you get control of the listing, and then you know when they're ready to go, you can launch. So you say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I know that you're not ready now, but how open would you be for me to get your listing, put it in my top pocket? If a buyer comes along, I can tell them about it, but we don't market it. We don't tell anyone. And we don't actually advertise, no open homes, none of that stuff. But when you're ready, you call me, bingo, we're already set. We can launch really quickly. That's when you use that. Use with vendors who are delaying to come on to the market. So I am going to actually just finish up here and say, I actually think, Arthur, man, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I reckon that that's been enough information in one sitting for people to turn around and say, yep, got a bit of buyer dialogue, got a little bit of listing dialogue, commission dialogue. So I'm going to hand over to you, Arthur.
Appreciate that, Tom. Thank you very much. I'd love to get some feedback, Jarrod and Joel.
Well, Tom, if I can just circle back to number 12 for a second and just add to that a little bit. If this property is suitable for you, would be looking to make an offer. If they do say no, that is a massive opportunity to just ask a question like, what has to happen for you to be able to make an offer?
That's a beautiful piece of dialogue. I'm plagiarizing that, Jarrod.
Thank you.
What has to actually happen for you to make an offer? Because that's going to actually tell you what the gap is at that moment, isn't it?
And whether they need to sell their home or whether they've got something that needs to happen. It's a question I love asking. What has to happen in order for you to be able to do that?
I love that. 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 And I actually think, Jarrod, if you actually look at one of the other questions I used towards the end of there, where I said, what's the best home you've seen so far? And
this is something that Joel does extremely well. Those list of questions that you ask, those 6 questions that you're rattling off, that's like Joel Hood AI right there. It's like robot, man.
I've been listening to Tom for too long, that's why. So
Arthur, you're going to laugh at this. I'm going to finish off with one piece of dialogue. I worked in a market called Marrickville and also Newtown. Marrickville's a bit like Oakley, a lot of Greeks, right? And I always preferred to deal with the Smiths than the Papadopouloses, right? I just found that I had a better conversion rate. And sometimes I used to get some of the Greeks that used to come in, you know, these older guys at the time, 60, 70, they usually normally own around, 8 commercial buildings. They were the worst landlords. They'd never fix anything up, right? And they used to turn around and they'd say, excuse me, you speak Greek? I'd say, nah, I can't speak Greek. He does, but talk to him instead, right? So that's what I used to do. My business partner used to hate it. He used to go, mate, you get all the Smiths, I get all the Papadopouloses, you get all the sales, right? All righty. Arthur, is there any questions?
Yeah, I'd actually like to bring Joel in. Joel, needle movers, what's helped you get to where you are at the moment?
Yeah, I was going to say, right at the beginning, I think Tom's comment around the open homes, I genuinely believe there's actually more than 20% of people that are coming through opens that have a property to sell. There'll be some obviously that have got a property to sell. There'll be some that are actually on the market already. They're not able to sell. They'll be researching you to see what you're doing differently and why their agent may not be getting a result. So I would just encourage agents that do maybe have a bit more flexibility on Saturday. Like Tom said, Friday night's not the night for going out. Maximize your day on a Saturday. So we hit 1/3 of our appraisal targets purely from open homes. So 30 is my number for the month. 10 always comes in from opens. I reckon going off the questions that Tom has rattled off today, the team are all watching. They'll be asking more effective questions. We'll probably book more, but just double book yourself. Like Saturday, we've just sold a property that was due to be on at 12 o'clock. So now we're opening the 9 a.m. at 9 and 12. And we will pick up different people. And we will pick up neighbours. So in terms of a needle mover, Arthur, obviously maximizing ourselves in the marketplace because the sellers are obviously coming to us, but obviously asking the right questions, being more effective with your time. So it was hilarious that Tom has brought up some of this dialogue because we literally, Kristen and I just used it in the appraisal. She's booked me in for a 10 appraisal, and we've got to be on this meeting with Tom at 11:30, and we've got genuine sellers. We're sitting in the lounge room, we're hearing about their health issues, and we're on the back foot behind the agent that sold them the property that they still liked 6 years ago. And we knew we were behind. So plain and simple, how open would you be to us bringing bringing a particular buyer through your property? Spoke about Kevin, spoke about his budget, why he thought he'd be the right fit. Oh yeah, we could, but if Kevin was to purchase it, we wouldn't be paying the full commission. And then Tom's line comes out and says, well, actually, we've been assisting Kevin since late last year. It's not how long you've been on the market, it's how long this particular buyer has been in the market. So just arming yourself with the ability to probably just cut through 15 minutes of conversation with maybe 3 or 4 sentences, because realistically, we needed to be in and out fairly quickly. And as you get busier, if you're going to try and leverage and obviously scale, you need to be able to, and that's Tom's obviously very good with it because he has to go from auction to auction to auction, and he needs to get to the point with the vendors that he's barely met to get them into a zone to work with the market. And I think that's something that as agents we really need to obviously keep getting better with, and that's what we've noticed in our marketplace as we've grown.
Arthur, I've just put up. Can the team see power language?
Absolutely, mate. Yep, we can see that.
I said it's not in my presentation. I suggest people use their mobile phone, capture it, and these are around 10 sentences that I find are really useful that I include in my dialogue and language, right? And I actually got this out of literature called influence. And in fact, barristers actually got trained by this course that came up with these. Because if you think about it, Arthur, barristers have to influence a jury. So they've got 12 people that they've got to, is it 12 or 11? Doesn't really matter. It doesn't actually change what I'm about to say, but I'll have to Google it afterwards. They've got to convince 12 people in a jury to change their mind about something, right? And they'll often use power, and these are the things that they use, right? So, you know, just imagine. Let's look at that one there for a moment. Just imagine. In fact, I saw, remember that politician that was being dragged down saying that he'd raped someone 30 years ago? I think his name was Porter. Porter was the politician.
That's correct, yeah.
Was that right, Arthur?
That's correct, from WA, yeah.
Okay, I want everyone to go listen to his press conference. He's got 3 of those power languages in that press conference. He was trained to actually say that because he had to influence. He had to influence not a jury. He had to influence Australia, right? And he said this: just imagine that you've been married with your family for 30 years. Just imagine out of the blue, something from 30 years that you don't even remember, that you don't even think is true. How would it make you feel? And he was using language that is emotive, because if you think about it, just imagine gets you to actually go down that path. How would you feel? That's emotion. So I'm fascinated there. I reckon Joel and Jarrod and a lot of the great agents that are on here, I think that they use dialogue that they're unconsciously competent in. They don't even realize that they're actually doing it. It's just that over the years, they've realized this works for me, and they just sort of saying it. All we've done is really articulated it today.
That one you said though, Tom, so Just Imagine was the first one I went to, and I find, especially in a negotiation, future pacing the buyer. So late last night, we were trying to get a buyer to a particular level. The seller was very emotional about the home. They'd raised their kids in the property for 15 years, and the new buyer was basically the original. So they were going to raise their kids, and they would not go past a particular number. And I just said to them, just imagine in 5 to 10 years time, you've had 5 to 10 amazing years with your kids, the Christmases, the birthdays, the anniversaries at that home. Would you be disappointed that you didn't go that extra 10 to 15 to get that time? And then parked it and said, but let's just imagine I take you to something that's a little bit lower on budget, that was inferior, and you didn't have those same memories. Would you be disappointed that you didn't pay that extra? And straight away, husband went quiet. Wife said, we'll call you back. And I said, okay, well, that's pretty much it, because you've put the person, you future paced them into the actual position. They've had to actually think about it for themselves.
It is so important to use scripts and dialogues appropriately to create that emotion, to allow people to see themselves in a property. You know, ask those questions. Can you see your children in the backyard playing? You know, that is a motive that allows them to really picture it. And would you like to miss out on that for $10,000? What's that worth to you?
Yeah. Listen, Jarrod, I had Liam from Byron Real Estate. Actually, I only thought about it now, but you know, when I bought a home in the Northern Rivers about five years ago, and I think at the time I felt like, I don't know what it was. What had happened is COVID had started, and all of a sudden I'd stopped flying, and I was with my kids all the time, and then when COVID was about to end, I thought to myself, fuck, man, I've really enjoyed being close with my kids, right? And then what Liam Annesley, the agent in Byron, said, he said, Tom, just imagine, no matter with everything going on, you and your daughters and your wife can always come together in this oasis. Man, I didn't buy the house in Byron. I bought the connection with my family because I was feeling I was going to lose it when work started again and we're all going to go separate ways.
100%. And this, unfortunately, is what's missing in real estate for a lot of people. They think we're a transaction. We have to help them create the emotion, create the connection, and help them get out of their own way sometimes to make a decision, as long as it's done ethically and done with the right purpose. And that's where it all comes back to this dialogue, to be able to use dialogue effectively and appropriately. So train on it. You know, if you guys are listening now, train on it, rehearse it with your friends and family so it becomes second nature to you. You look at someone like Joel. Joel is a freak of nature, that he does remember these things so well and just pulls it out at the right time. He's just so well rehearsed and practiced and trained at it. He's one of the masters. Yeah, I would recommend.
Jarrod, I concur 1,000,000% with Joel. To me, Joel's one of the most quality people in our industry. And if everyone had a really total, view of his whole life and what it entails, they would actually have the same view as well. Those that don't know him. But I just hopefully, Arthur, my final contribution towards this is no matter. And it's on what Jarrod just said, no matter how logical you are that you think that it's transactional, no matter how much you think about that, I've got to tell you, people make decisions emotionally and then they justify them logically afterwards. It is an emotive driven decision, and you might have the most practical person on the planet, but still it's that one instant that they say that one thing that actually drives that behavior. Then they'll explain it to friends and family logically why they did it, but the actual decision happened in an instant, right? And I'm about to tell everyone there, our listing presentation, man, it's not won by a 1.5 hour conversation. There's a point in that listing presentation where they look you in the eye and they feel like, he's got my back. He's got my back. And the emotion there is trust. And that's what wins the business at that point, right? Anyway, team, Arthur, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Really appreciate it. I know you got to move on. I appreciate your time. I think everyone, let's give it up for Tom. Give him a virtual round of applause. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. We can all go back and re-watch this session. The last thing I'll say that I was tasked with keeping everything under control today. Maria said, every F-bomb, Arthur, it's $100 to a charity. So I reckon I'm about 3,300 light today, Tom. I've got to make good with that. Appreciate it. Guys, if you want to stick around, I'm not sure, Jarrod and Joel, do you want to kick around for another 10 minutes or so? We are able to do so. Tom, thank you. Good luck up at ARIC at the end of the month.
Correct. But before that, there's a lot that needs to be done. And I just thought of, Joel, I am going away. I'm going the week after next, I'm going away with my wife and my 2 daughters to Japan. So that's happening. That's happening beforehand. So, yeah, and I look forward to seeing you all. I'll jump off in a moment, but I'm happy to sort of stay on as well. And I'll leave it over to you guys.
Fantastic.
AP, I'll just throw in my favorite piece of dialogue, and just another one I sort of thought of, and then JC can do one of his. But one thing that I found, because all my appraisals were cold when I first got here, and it was basically just begging to get into the lounge room, I thought, well, I truly believe an agent can actually create something. You don't have to wait for the seller to make a decision. You can put the idea in their mind. It might not happen in the lounge room, but it might happen within 1, 2, 4 weeks, 2 months. They'll call and something's changed. And I just simply say to them in the lounge room, develop the relationship. We have a bit of a chat, and I just simply say, like, I understand you're perfectly happy here. And the team would have heard me talk about this before. And they go, no, you've got no plan to sell. But, if you were to go, where do you think you would go next? And then they would say, I don't know. We do love the area, but the house is getting a little bit large. Bang, there's the avenue. The next one turns around and says, we're finding just losing all of our time, with these repayments now, the interest rates have gone up. We probably just go to something a little bit cheaper. And if you're an agent that doesn't have a great deal of stock, that is basically your next lead, because essentially you're going to go down a line of questioning. And if you know your market well, they turn around and say, "Oh, we just go to something a little bit cheaper. How much would you want left? $200,000-$300,000? Would that be enough to top up the super or give you your holidays?" "Oh, yeah, something around that." "Okay, and what would it look like?" "Oh, we don't really need this size house, probably a 3-bedroom instead of the 4. We don't need this size yard. Would you stay in the area?" "Yeah, we've got kids locally. We still want to stay here. We've got our connections." "Okay, so if I could find you something $300,000 cheaper, 3-bed, 2-bath, like these few properties that I've currently got available now, would you be open to coming and have a look?" "Yeah, I think we would." And it's all of a sudden gone from the person had no motivation to sell. I mean, they have to have some. They're not going to call you as an agent into the lounge room for no reason at all. But just a simple question of simply saying, "I know you're not planning to sell, but if you did, where do you think your next property would be? Or if you did, what do you think that would look like?" So you can use it in many different words, but essentially what you're trying to do is open up that next line. You don't really want to leave a person's house, I find, and not have an idea of how you're going to assist them moving forward, because I find like you can develop great relationships with clients, and that was probably the hardest thing leaving Victoria, because they were pretty much all friends and it was just referral and repeat business. So having to start over. But the fact of the matter is that you are there to do a job as well. Your family's relying on you. I think I spoke about it last year. You've got the ability to change a family tree in this industry. So create the relationships, but why don't you try and give them a hand along the way? They've called you in for a reason. You just need to unlock it. So maybe 1% out of all of the appraisals you go into, they're genuinely not moving. I think the one I find is people with the kids in year 12. They're probably not going to move that year. Or they've got a really specific thing happening, whether it be a job role or something. But the lion's share of people are going to be open to moving. And your dialogue is actually going to unlock that door. And then you're going to have a lead to take them. And then you're going to get to a point where you get too busy and you unfortunately only want to or have time to work with the hottest ones. But the truth of the matter is that, if you don't have enough business at the moment, it's purely because you don't know how to speak to people correctly. And you can take a person out of Victoria and put them in Queensland, you can put them anywhere. If they know what they're going to say, like, it doesn't matter, the human beings are the same in every single state. I found nothing has changed. So you only know what you know. So it's really important, I think, to go away and take Tom's words and literally he's just given you prompting questions with all those different intros. I'd just be giving it a go. Like Panos says, try it for a day and just see what sort of response you get. Because I reckon it will change things drastically for agents on this webinar.
Well said, Joel. Wholeheartedly. Jarrod, chime in for me.
Yeah, well, probably for the Victorian agents, because for us, it's not as much about getting the business; it's about closing the business at the moment and getting people to actually commit to taking offers, because they're not where they were. As Tom mentioned, the prices weren't where they were 2-3 years ago. So for me, it's just knowing from the start what they were trying to achieve is really, really important. You need to get deep on your vendors to know why they're moving. And just asking a simple question, just saying, "Look, I know the pricing isn't where you dreamed. I know this isn't the dream price that we initially started out with, but at that level, does it allow you to move forward with your plans? Does it allow you to do what you want to do?" It's just a really simple question that people, they usually say, "Well, yeah," and then you can follow up with saying, "Can you live with it?" It's just really simple dialogue that most people go, "Actually, it does allow us to move on with their plans, so why wouldn't you take it?" And then if they don't, the very simple close, the casino close is one of my favorites. Are you a gambler? I absolutely love that close. And for anyone who doesn't know it, learn it, because you can ask people if they're a gambler, if it works or not. If they are a gambler or not a gambler, it still works. Would you gamble $1.5 million at the casino to potentially get back $10,000 or $20,000? You just wouldn't do it. So does it allow you to move forward?
It's weird, Jarrod. I've got to say, for some reason, if there's one piece of dialogue over the decades that agents, when they see you at a seminar or they see you at the shops, or just when they randomly see you, they bring that one up the most. They say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that actually, you know," they say that actually works. I say, "Well, listen, they're all supposed to work, right? So you shouldn't be surprised, right?" But you know, they say, "Oh, mate, I did this there." And it does make sense, and so does like, obviously, Jarrod, I come from the world of News Corp. I'm made a living out of selling agents vendor paid advertising, right? And I found out that one of the nice pieces of dialogue with vendor paid advertising was similar, in the sense that you're taking out insurance. You'd say, "Listen, I know that you don't have an appetite to invest $5,000 in an advertising campaign, but I've got to let you know, I think you should take out the insurance." And they say, "You know, it's pretty expensive." I say, "Well, listen, your home's worth $1 million, right? Your car's worth 200 grand. You're probably spending 2 grand insuring a car every year that's going down in value. Like, it sounds like it's a no-brainer to ensure you don't undersell the biggest asset that you own, that, by the way, is tax-free. So if we get you an extra 30 grand, it's really 60 grand. Like, yeah. So, yeah.
It's really easy for us to think we need to reinvent the wheel all the time and be innovative and what have you. But some of the direct, easy dialogue is the stuff that is effective if it's said the right way at the right time with the right intention.
100%, 100%. I'm reading, 100%. Jarrod, I'm going to drop off because I want to be somewhere in about 10 minutes. It's been good to see. By the way, it's better to see you in person, but it's all good to see Jarrod and to see everyone there. And I'm really, and well done to Arthur and Manos with the Black Salt event, because I actually do think you've done something different on this occasion, and that is, people came to a face-to-face thing, and instead of just walking out of the movies and say that was a good movie, along the way you've actually said, "Listen, we're going to stay in contact with you, hoping that you retain the things that you've picked up, and also that you also pick up things along the way." So this is going for another 6 months, isn't it, Arthur? Is this a 12 months?
That's right, Tom. Absolutely. It's a 12-month program. You just buy a ticket to Black Salt, and then the next 12 month is locked in. So sort of like your 5 people can't get it wrong, sort of like that. Well, REB can't get it wrong. Back-to-back training and education program of the year. So Manos has done a wonderful thing putting it together there. That's our little gloat for the day. Thank you, Tom. Enjoy your day. Enjoy Japan, and good luck at Arak.
Good to see you, mate.
Much. Stay well. Bye-bye.
Take care. Yeah, so I'm not sure he believed me or not, but I reckon I am up for about 3.5 in folding for all the F-bombs he dropped. Maria said, "Make sure he doesn't swear." I went, "Yeah, okay. How am I supposed to do that?"
How do you do that without a cattle prod?
Yes, exactly. So anyway, thank you for that. I feel a little lighter today. Guys, any questions that we could put in the chat box? We've got 5 or 6 minutes. Love to take some questions from the group. Let's see. I'll just go over to the chat box now. Any questions that Joel and Jarrod may be able to answer? Anyone got any challenges at the moment? Is there a piece of dialogue that we need to unpack?
That's what I would like to hear. If anyone's having any challenges that we can address.
Look at this. A whole group, no challenges. Life's easy in this world.
I've got a challenge.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay. We have a vendor who we had an auction scheduled, passed in, didn't sell, and our vendor has a particular price they want to achieve, but the market's telling us. So we advertised $790 to $860, nothing. So it tells us we probably need to bring it down. And so we had the discussion yesterday and said, look, let's make a price alignment and see whether we can get more people through and to achieve the price you want. So the price alignment we were looking to try and get was somewhere around that $720 to $790 mark. They came back and said, he came back and said, look, we feel like we are lying if we set a price like that, because we would never take that type of figure, and we would just like to keep the price now at $860 and leave it at that.
Yeah. But have you asked him a simple question? What's his name? Vendor's name?
Alex.
Alex. Alex, why is it that that figure is important to you?
They need that figure for their next move. Basically, they're looking to try and buy something. They think that their budget's about 1.1 million, so they need to get 860 in order to achieve what they want to get.
My angle with that would be, Alex, what's your feelings or what's your knowledge of the marketplace at the moment and where you're going in the marketplace?
And we're doing that actually, and in fact, Sam Hartrick's got a property that he's listed that is open on Saturday morning. Basically, fits their criteria. So I said, why don't you come along, because this fits your criteria, but you're in the area you're looking at, but it's quoted at 950 to $1 million, because they think that to get what they want, it's going to cost them 1.1. So I'm now trying to do the other thing, but I still think that by keeping their property at that figure, we're doing the same thing to try and get a different result, and I don't think it'll happen.
And sometimes you need to shake people off their opinion and why they want that actual figure, because they perceive that it's going to be more expensive going the other way.
Correct.
And sometimes you can jokingly deliver information as well and just say, look, do you have a magic bubble around your house? What? I've asked that question before numerous times. Do you have a magic bubble around it that people think it's worth more than the market will bear?
Yeah.
No, your house has gone down in value just as everything else has. So the destination that you're going to, the market's dropped there too. Have you actually been to property and had a really good look at it to see if this will release you to be able to buy that? So hypothetically, what if we only get where the market is giving us feedback at 780? Does that allow you to move forward with your plans?
Yeah. And it probably will. This is why I'm trying to now get them down the other end. Let's go and have a look at some properties.
You have to get them thinking that though. So by asking enough questions, hypothetically is a beautiful way to ask. Hypothetically, if it only lands at this, will it still allow you to move forward with your plans? Because right now, we've been on the market for a while. There are no people prepared to pay that price that initially where you started in your mind. It's not likely to happen. So what's the next move? What do you suggest is our next move? Throw it back to them, always with questions. What do you think is our next move? Right? You need to get them thinking about it rather than this battle of, I'm trying to tell you what you should do because I know best. They need to think what's best for themselves. And why is it important that you get to that figure? Oh, because we need it for the next move. Do you think your buyers care about the house you're going to buy moving forward? I don't say that disrespectfully, but do they care what you want to go and buy and want to spend $1.15 million? No, they want to pay what they think it's worth.
That's right.
So do you feel that I can get someone to pay above what the market thinks it's worth? I'll do my best, but at the moment we've shown that it hasn't happened. So what's our next move?
Jarrod, one other thing that he keeps harping on that I can't get him to stop thinking about, and I keep asking him to, is the unit right opposite him sold, which is identical, just a mirror floor plan and so on. The unit right opposite him sold last year in September for 860,000.
Beautiful.
So I'm not taking a cent lower than that.
Beautiful. I would pull out a graph. I would pull out the graph of your local area because mine looks amazing. It just goes, phew. Yeah, I took a photo of it yesterday and sent it to a client.
Okay.
It does that. For anyone that can see that.
Yep.
Fluid.
Okay.
The market is fluid. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Market's moving,
I haven't thought about that one. I'll do that. Yep.
Pull it, and if that graph does exactly that and goes down from September, okay, fantastic. It would suggest that it's gone down 4.7%. So 860 minus 4.7%, that's likely to be the best we can get. So why don't we make a reflection on that? And the good news is the house that you're looking to go to is likely to be cheaper by 5 to 10%. That's fantastic news for you guys. So if we do drop the price, if we do alter the price range, and I don't necessarily mean drop your price, if it's there, I'll go and get it. But if we change the price range to get more people attracted to your property, If we can get it sold, that releases you to go and buy another property cheaper, and the gap is less. Why don't we do that? Why don't we make you more money by that shortening of the gap? It's great news.
Yeah, all right. That's great.
Perfect.
Great advice. Thanks.
Thank you, Lou. Jarrod, as always, I'm not sure if Joel's still on or not. I think he had to go. Yep, I'm not sure he's on. Everyone, thank you very much. Great session for the start of May. Let's continue this right through. We've got a 5-weekend trading month. And don't forget, in a couple of weeks, Mother's Day. Very, very important. Just want to chime in on that. Our mothers are the souls of our lives, I guess. Oh, Elise, thank you. AI, Black Salt AI Coach. Don't forget that that is available. This session, Elise, will be put through the library, will it not? Got the big yes there. So everything that we learned today will be put through this session. You can ask the Black Salt AI Coach anything about today, and it will retrieve that for you. It's only getting better. Moving on, the next virtual session. Let me put my glasses on. Can't read it. Okay, what's the next session there? Rightio. Okay, a mid-year review, on track or off track, and that is Thursday, the 5th of June. So lock that in your diaries, 11:30 to 1:30 there, approximately a mid-year review. So in June, Thursday, the 5th, lock that in. We'll see you then. And of course, the Leadership and Transformation Day is the 22nd of May. That's also a Thursday, I should say. And it's one of Manos's favorites. He's saying, of course, volume is vanity and profit is sanity. And we've got some fantastic guest speakers on that day. Rose Ratner from Beyond Figures Bookkeeping and Fiona Blaney. So these two beautiful ladies will fill us in. I see it's a 4 p.m. time slot, at least. That must mean that the M&M will chime in for that one from overseas.
Yeah, that one's for Manos.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Good news to hear. Everyone, thank you. Anything else to go through, Elise? Are we good?
No, that's a lot.
Fantastic. Everyone, thank you for your time and attendance today. Again, want to thank Tom, Joel, and Jarrod, everyone that chimed in today. I hope you're having a great day. Let's get out there. We've just armed ourselves with some better dialogue to get into the lounge rooms and win the business. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll chat soon. Thank you.